Hey, basketball fans, welcome back to Tips and Streams, your go-to spot for the hottest NBA regular season predictions. I'm Kokan, and I'm here to break down today's matchups and give you the edge you need to make the best bets. Before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe button and like this video. Your support means the world to us. Remember, our channel has no sponsors and relies solely on the love and support of viewers like you. Even a small donation by pressing the thanks button under the video helps us keep bringing you top-notch content every day. Don't forget to share this video with your friends and fellow basketball enthusiasts. And we love hearing from you, so drop a comment below and let us know what you want to see in our forecasts. Your feedback helps us improve and bring you the content you crave. Let's jump right into today's NBA predictions. We've got some exciting games lined up, so stay tuned and let's get that winning streak going. Today we have predictions for 6 NBA games. The first prediction for today is for a game between the New York Knicks and Philadelphia 76ers. The Knicks and Sixers are set to clash, and I've got a feeling this one's about to serve up some serious drama. The Knicks have had a strong season overall, holding down the third spot in the East with a 26-15 record. But let's keep it real, they've hit a rough patch lately. Just 2 wins in their last 7? That's not exactly inspiring. And that loss to the Pistons at home? Man, that had to sting, especially after grinding out a win over the Bucks the night before. Sure, back-to-backs can be brutal, but dropping one at the Garden to Detroit? That's a tough one to swallow. Still, this Knicks squad has weapons. Karl-Anthony Towns has been straight-up dominant, putting up 25.4 points and hauling in nearly 14 boards per game while shooting with sniper-level precision. Then there's Jalen Brunson, the engine of this offense, leading the team in scoring and dishing out over 7 assists a game. Offensively, they're a force, second best in the league with 120.5 points per 100 possessions. But the other side of the ball? They're just middle of the pack defensively, and if they want to make real noise, they'll need to tighten up. As for Philly, it's been a rocky road. Sitting at 15-23, they're on the outside looking in when it comes to the play-in picture. Injuries have been brutal. Embiid, George, Lowry, Reggie Jackson, you name it. Even Embiid's suspension added to the misery. Tyrese Maxey has been the lone bright spot, averaging 25.8 points a game, but his outside shot hasn't been reliable, sitting at just 33.5% from deep. Offensively, this team is struggling, ranking dead last in assists per game and near the bottom in scoring efficiency. That's a recipe for disaster. Defensively, they're holding their own, hovering around league average, but their inability to generate consistent offense is a glaring weakness. They're coming into this one on the second night of a back-to-back after facing OKC. Sure, they rested key players, but it's unclear who'll be fully ready to roll. Embiid's status? That's the X factor. Now, I know the Knicks look like the easy pick here. They've had some time to reset, and that loss to Detroit probably lit a fire under them. They're rested, they've been solid on the road, and they're up against a Philly squad that's been searching for a spark. On paper, this screams Knicks. But let me tell you, I'm not sold on them walking away with an easy dub. This feels like a prime opportunity for the Sixers to make a statement. Yeah, they're the underdogs, but this isn't your typical back-to-back scenario. They rested half the squad against the Thunder to gear up for this one. If Embiid, George, and Maxey all suit up, Philly's got a real shot to feed off the energy at Wells Fargo Center and remind everyone what they're capable of. Plus, with some playoff history between these teams, you know the Sixers are hungry for a little revenge. New York's been inconsistent lately, and while their road record is respectable, Philly's been strong against Eastern Conference teams, going 10-4 straight up in their last 14. I'm rolling the dice here. I think the Sixers rise to the occasion, and while I'm calling for the upset win, I'll play it safe and suggest taking Philly plus 6.5. That's where my money's at tonight.
Welcome to BetUS, Sportsbook and Casino, your ultimate hub for secure and thrilling sports betting and casino gaming. BetUS is one of the oldest and most reliable online sportsbooks in the U.S., serving millions of clients all over the globe each month. BetUS, trusted for over 30 years, offers huge welcome bonuses, countless betting options, and many deposit and payout methods. Depositing funds is a breeze and safe, with a minimum deposit of just $10. Payouts are fast and hassle-free, beginning at only $50. Choose from various payout options like MoneyGram, couriered check, cryptocurrency, or bank wire. Signing up is quick and easy. For signing up, you can use the link in the description and enjoy a generous 125% welcome bonus of up to $3,000. By signing up using the link in the description, you'll also support us as we earn a small commission from your registration at BetUS. Thank you for supporting us. Join now and start winning.
The second prediction for today is for a game between the Atlanta Hawks and Chicago Bulls. The Hawks are rolling into Chicago for what promises to be a fast-paced, high-scoring showdown against the Bulls. Both squads are coming off back-to-back games, so tired legs could play a major role in how this one shakes out. Atlanta's season has been a mix of highs and lows, and they're sitting in ninth place in the East with a 20-19 record. They've shown flashes of brilliance, like their recent win over the Suns, but inconsistency has been the theme. One night they're clicking, and the next, their defense looks like it's made of Swiss cheese. Trae Young continues to be the engine driving the Hawks, putting up 23.1 points and 11.9 dimes per game. His recent 43-point masterpiece against Phoenix reminded everyone why he's a problem for opposing defenses. Meanwhile, Onyeka Okongwu has been a beast in the paint. Dropping 22 points and hauling in 21 boards in that same game was a statement. And let's not forget rookie Zachary Rissicher, who's been solid for a first-year player, even though he's still figuring out the NBA grind. The big red flag for Atlanta, though, is their defense. They've been a turnstile on that end, sitting in the bottom 10 for defensive rating. On the flip side, the Bulls are also fighting through their struggles. They're 18-22 and holding on to 10th place in the East, but it's been rough. Their latest game was a tough 119-113 loss to the Pelicans, and defensive issues continue to haunt them. Zach LaVine and Nikola Vucevic have been their lifeline, with LaVine dropping 25 points and Vucevic notching a 22-point, 15-rebound double-double in that loss. Kobe White had some solid contributions, but the Bulls' defense just couldn't keep up. It's the same old story, great offense, but no stops when it matters. This game has the makings of another shootout. The last time these teams met, it was a fireworks show, with Atlanta pulling out a 141-133 win. These squads both love to push the pace, rack up possessions, and light up the scoreboard. Defense? Yeah, not so much. Chicago ranks as one of the worst defensive teams in the league, and Atlanta isn't far behind. It's like both teams have a mutual agreement to let the other guy score. Now, injuries could really swing this one. DeAndre Hunter and Jalen Johnson are question marks for the Hawks, and if they're good to go, Atlanta has the edge. Those two bring the kind of two-way play that could give the Hawks just enough to pull this off. If they're out, though, this game might come down to who can outscore who, and that's saying something, given how little defense either team plays. From where I'm sitting, the Hawks are a slightly better bet in the spot, even on the road. They've been a little sharper in back-to-back games compared to the Bulls, who have struggled to find their footing in these scenarios. Plus, Trae Young has been cooking, and Atlanta's offense seems to have more weapons firing right now. If Hunter and Johnson suit up, I'm riding with the Hawks to cover the 3-point spread. But if those two are sidelined, I'm leaning toward the over on total points because, let's be real, neither team is slowing the other down. Expect a high-octane, scoreboard-lighting kind of game. This one's going to be a track meet. Before we move on, I have a quick favor to ask. If you're enjoying the content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Subscribing might seem like a small action, but it actually makes a big impact for us. Plus, it's completely free for you. Have you clicked that subscribe button? Awesome, thank you so much for your support. Now let's dive back into the video. The third prediction for today is for a game between the Golden State Warriors and Minnesota Timberwolves. The Warriors head into Minnesota desperate to snap out of their recent funk. Let's not sugarcoat it. This team has been rough to watch lately. Dropping 4 of their last 5 games, including a gut-wrenching 104-101 loss to the Raptors, Golden State is struggling to find any sort of rhythm. With a 19-20 record, they're sitting in a very un-Warriors-like 12th place in the West. That's not where Steph and company expected to be halfway through the season. Offense has been the biggest issue for the Dubs. They've barely scraped past 100 points in most of their recent games, averaging just over 100 across their last 5. That's not going to cut it, especially when your bread and butter used to be lighting up the scoreboard. Steph Curry is still putting in work. He's Steph, but even he's had some off nights, like a brutal 2, for 14 showing from deep against Detroit. Guys like Wiggins and Kuminga need to step up because the role players aren't doing enough to ease the load on Curry. Defensively, they're holding their own, sitting 8th in defensive rating, but it's not enough to mask their offensive struggles. The 3-point shooting? It's fine, but fine doesn't win games for this team. They're tossing up a ton of threes, 4th most in the league, but hitting them at just an average clip. And don't even start on their free throw attempts. They're near the bottom and getting to the line, which is wild for a team with so many shooters. On the flip side, the Timberwolves are looking like a team on the rise. They've won 4 of their last 5, including a blowout against the Wizards where Anthony Edwards dropped a casual 41. At 21-18, they're 8th in the West and starting to hit their stride. Their defense has been legit lately, holding opponents to under 100 points in 4 of their last 5 games. That's been their calling card, and it's working. They're 6th in defensive rating, and if they keep that energy, it's gonna be tough for the Warriors to crack 110 against them. The offense for the Wolves is still a work in progress, though. They're only 18th in offensive rating and have a bad habit of coughing up the ball. Turnovers have been a killer, and it's holding them back from being a real threat. Still, their three-point shooting has been solid, and when they get hot, it opens up the floor for Edwards to go to work. Speaking of Ant-Man, he's been on a tear in 2025, averaging over 30 points a night, and finally looking like the franchise cornerstone Minnesota needs him to be. This matchup feels like it's all about tempo. If the Warriors can speed things up and start hitting their shots from deep, they'll put pressure on Minnesota to keep up. But if the Wolves control the pace and lock in on defense like they've been doing, they could make life miserable for Golden State. Curry will need to be nuclear for the Warriors to steal one here, especially with the Wolves playing so well at home. I think Minnesota gets the win, but I'm leaning toward the total being the smarter play. The over-under at 214 feels a little low, especially when both teams have been hitting the over in their recent games. Golden State's pace and Minnesota's three-point shooting could push this game past that number, even if it's not the prettiest basketball we've ever seen. If Curry and Edwards both show up, this could turn into a shootout, and that's always good for the over. For my money, I'm taking the points total to sail over 214. The fourth prediction for today is for a game between the Dallas Mavericks and New Orleans Pelicans. Let's dive into this matchup between the Pelicans and Mavericks, where things are shaping up to be an interesting clash. The Mavericks are in a bit of a rut, dropping their last 2 games to the Nuggets and desperately missing Luka Doncic. With a 22-18 record, they're still in a decent spot in the West, but without Luka, they're struggling to find that spark. Honestly, it's tough to see how they keep pace until he's back. The calf injury has him sidelined until at least February, and his absence has left a huge hole in their game plan. Even with Kyrie Irving stepping back into the mix, there are concerns. He's not exactly lighting it up. Just look at that rough outing against Denver where he went 4 for 18 from the floor. That's not the kind of efficiency Dallas needs right now. And to make matters worse, Derek Lively might miss this game after tweaking his ankle. His ability to protect the paint has been critical, so if he's out, the Mavericks are looking at a serious uphill battle. Dallas isn't the same dominant road team they were last season, and it's showing. Over their last 5 games away from home, they've posted a brutal net rating of minus 16.3. That's not a stat you want when you're facing a scrappy team like New Orleans. While the Mavs' defense is still solid, ranking in the top 10, their offense just isn't clicking the same way without Luka orchestrating. Kyrie can only do so much, and it's clear the rest of the squad needs to step up in a big way. On the flip side, the Pelicans are starting to show some life. Sure, they're still sitting at the bottom of the Western Conference standings, but winning 4 of their last 7 games feels like progress. Zion Williamson is back, and while his off-court professionalism has raised some eyebrows, he's still a beast in the paint. His ability to dominate inside could be a problem for Dallas, especially if Lively isn't available to anchor the Mavericks' interior defense. Brandon Ingram's return is also on the horizon, which could give New Orleans a much-needed boost. Even with all the chaos this team has dealt with, they've managed to pull off some impressive performances. Beating Philly on the road and nearly upsetting Boston are signs that they're starting to figure things out. At home, they've been slightly more consistent, and with a net rating of minus 11.9 over their last 5 games in New Orleans, they're at least staying competitive. This game feels like a real toss-up, but I'm leaning toward the Pelicans here. They're healthier than they've been all season, and with Zion leading the charge, they've got the tools to give Dallas a tough time. The Mavericks, without Luka, just don't have the same firepower, and Kyrie hasn't proven he can carry the load consistently. Plus, Dallas has struggled to put up points lately, scoring 101 or fewer in half of their last 8 games. That's not going to cut it against a Pelicans squad that's starting to find its rhythm. For my money, I'm backing New Orleans to cover the +3 spread. They've got the momentum, the home crowd, and a roster that's starting to click. It's not going to be easy, and they've still got a long way to go to be playoff contenders, but this game feels like one they can snag. Let's see if the Pelicans can keep the good vibes rolling and deliver another solid performance. The fifth prediction for today is for a game between the Memphis Grizzlies and San Antonio Spurs. All right, let's dive into this one. The Memphis Grizzlies are hitting the road to face the San Antonio Spurs, and it's shaping up to be an intriguing matchup. The Grizzlies have been a fun team to follow this season, sitting comfortably in third place in the West with a solid 25-15 record. But let's be real, this team is a bit of a roller coaster right now. They've got the talent, no doubt, but consistency hasn't exactly been their best friend. Just look at that gut-wrenching 120-118 loss to the Rockets in their last outing. Close, but not quite. Now, we all know Memphis loves to play fast and furious. They're a squad that thrives on speed and scoring, putting up 117.9 points per 100 possessions, which ranks them among the top in the league. Ja Morant is, of course, the centerpiece of their high-octane offense, though his numbers, 21.4 ppg, are a bit down from his usual jaw-dropping stats. Meanwhile, Jaren Jackson Jr. has been nothing short of a beast this year, averaging 22.8 points a night and doing what he does best on defense, swatting shots and locking down the paint. But here's the thing, Memphis doesn't always bring their A-game on the road. They're a mediocre 10-10 away from home, and that's where things get dicey. On the other side, you've got the Spurs, who've been a sneaky fun team to watch this season. Sitting at 19-19, they've had their share of ups and downs, but let's not ignore what they've been building. Victor Wembanyama is the real deal. This kid is turning heads left and right, averaging 25.1 points, grabbing 10.7 boards, and leading the league in blocks with 4 swats per game. For a 21-year-old, that's insane. And don't sleep on Devin Vassell either. Since coming back from injury, he's been a solid running mate for Wembanyama, chipping in 15.6 points per game and giving the Spurs some much-needed scoring punch. San Antonio just snapped a 3-game skid with a statement win over the Lakers, dropping 126 points and running LA off the floor. That kind of performance is exactly what this team needed to get their mojo back. They've been holding their own at home, too, which makes this matchup even more interesting. If Memphis wants to handle business, they've got to clean up their act with the turnovers. They're coughing it up 17.3 times per game, which is just way too much for a team with this kind of talent. That kind of sloppiness could spell trouble, especially against a Spurs team that can make you pay for your mistakes. On the flip side, the Spurs have to lean into their strengths, rebounding and second-chance opportunities, particularly with Wembanyama cleaning the glass. If they can dominate on the boards and keep up with Memphis' pace, they've got a real shot to hang tough in this one. So, what's the vibe here? I think we're in for a shootout. Both teams love to score, and with the way Memphis pushes the pace, this game could easily blow past that 237-point total. The Grizzlies should have the upper hand. They're the better team overall, but they've been shaky on the road, and the Spurs are riding high after that big win in LA. I wouldn't be surprised if San Antonio keeps this one close and covers the 4-point spread. And yeah, I'm leaning heavily on the total going over. This one's got all the makings of a fast-paced, high-scoring showdown. Should be a fun one. The sixth prediction for today is for a game between the Houston Rockets and Denver Nuggets. The Denver Nuggets and Houston Rockets are set to face off, and this one's got all the makings of a classic. Both teams are rolling right now, each riding a 4-game winning streak, but the dynamics heading into this matchup are intriguing. The Rockets are coming in fresh, well-rested, and confident, while the Nuggets are playing the second night of a back-to-back. That's always a tricky spot, but Denver's shown they can handle it. Let's start with Houston. This team has been on a mission all season. Sitting at 26-12, they've been doing it with grit and defense. They're the third best defensive squad in the league, and that kind of energy has carried them to the second spot in the West. Jalen Green is their spark plug, putting up 21 a night and showing he's got the chops to take over when needed. Just look at his 42-point outburst against Memphis. This kid is a bucket when he gets going. The Rockets have been outmuscling teams on the boards and forcing extra possessions, which offsets their less-than-stellar shooting percentages. They don't light it up from deep or mid-range, but they grind out games by simply outworking opponents. And let's not sleep on Alperen Sengun, who'll be eyeing this matchup with Nikola Jokic as a chance to prove he belongs in the conversation with the big boys. Now Denver. Man, they've been turning heads lately. Even with the back-to-back grind and a few players banged up, they've been steamrolling teams. They just handled Dallas twice in a row, and Russell Westbrook has been a revelation since sliding into the starting 5. He's bringing the energy, running the floor like a freight train, and making the most of his opportunities. His chemistry with Jokic has been next level lately. You saw it against Dallas, Westbrook dropping 21 with 10 boards and 7 dimes, while Jokic chipped in with 19 points, 18 rebounds, and 9 assists. Those two are clicking, and when that happens, the Nuggets offense is a nightmare to deal with. The Nuggets at home are a different beast. Since 2022, they've been nearly untouchable in their own building with a 93-26 straight-up record. Even on the second night of a back-to-back, this team doesn't fold. They're 7-1 against the spread in those games this season. That's the kind of stat that gets your attention. Sure, the Rockets are no joke, and they've got the rest advantage here, but Denver thrives in these spots. Plus, it's rare to see the Nuggets as home underdogs. When that happens, they've been money. I'll admit, I'm a bit biased. Denver's my squad, and I'm all in on them. But even setting that aside, the Nuggets have the tools to handle Houston. They're fourth in offensive efficiency, and with Jokic pulling the strings, they've got the firepower to crack the Rockets' tough defense. Add in Westbrook's relentless pace and some timely contributions from guys like Jamal Murray and Aaron Gordon, and I see Denver taking care of business. Catching Denver as a home dog with plus money on a spread feels like a gift. The Rockets might have the rest edge, but the Nuggets' experience, offensive depth, and ability to thrive under pressure make them my pick. I'm backing Denver to cover and wouldn't be shocked if they pull off the outright win. Let's ride with the Nuggets.